Joe Frazier! Joe Frazier! Joe Frazier! Joe Frazier!
When Muhammad Ali challenged Joe Frazier for their third and most momentous encounter in the ring, he began throwing the punches early.
It will be a thriller and a killer when I get the gorilla in Manila. Frazier!
In a thinly veiled racial taunt, Ali used his command of the world's media to caricature Frazier as an ignorant savage.
He is the ugliest man in boxing.
If I'm a gorilla, he got to be from the same ancestor. He must be a gorilla too.
By the time of the fight, Frazier was spitting blood. The thriller in Manila was going to be the settling of old scores.
When they met in the ring, they weren't really fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world so much as they were fighting for the championship of each other.
Ali and Frazier were always on a collision course. Their boxing styles, personalities, and politics a clash waiting to happen. Their early duels were tainted by the backdrop of war and racial tension in America in the early 70s.
He's the Uncle Tom. He works for the enemy.
These two fighters were determined to kill one another.
The scars of those battles escalated their final epic meeting into one of the most punishing contests boxing has ever seen.
And the thriller in Manila was the survival of the fittest and the battle of the wills.
The final round of the fight is the story of how Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier took each other to the very brink.
I don't know when I've seen Ali in as aggressive mood as this, not for years.
That's the best fight Ali's ever fought, and the closest to life and death, and the most dramatic, and the saddest, and the most intense. Now ask me whatever you want to ask me.
Will it go the distance, or will one of these collapse before the end?
Ali said that it was the closest thing to death he knew of, and I'm sure Joe felt pretty much the same way.
The fight to the finish between the two arch enemies, and they must have very nearly thrashed the hate out of each other by now.
The world heavyweight title fight between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier was staged in Manila in the Philippines in 1975. Dictator Ferdinand Marcos paid $5 million to secure the event. Despite a state of martial law, it put his country in the international spotlight and distracted from his domestic problems for 6 weeks.
The president of the Philippines needed it because the guerrillas were getting very active in the hills. The rebels wouldn't fight as long as we were in town. They'd filter down and watch the training.
Mr. President, what do you think this sort of fight will do for the Philippines?
Well, it does step up the size of the Philippines, and we have peace and order.
Plane loads of fight fans also helped rejuvenate the failing national airline. Ali was given 70 tickets.
Well, that's like the birth of the Ali Circus. Anybody want to go to Manila? You know, I mean, we have all these riffraff on our airplane. In Manila, with a free expense account at the hotel, free hotel, free drink. I mean, it was an orgy of eating and long-distance phone calling and stuff.
Ali was so famous as a boxer and personality that he could draw a crowd anywhere in the world.
We thank the President, the First Lady, for accepting us here and taking the time out from the business schedule to accept us here today.
Muhammad changed the whole innovation of boxing. You got to talk to the star. Before, you never talked to the star. You talked to the manager, the trainer, the cousin, the wife, the aunt. Never spoke to the star. The star was Muhammad Ali. Everybody else is secondary characters.
In Manila, Ali was followed by a press pack of 800, including the BBC's boxing commentator, Harry Carpenter.
This is a worldwide event. Everyone in the world is going to watch this fight. When a place like Manila gets an event like that, the whole city goes berserk. I mean, they go mad. It was electric.
In the build-up to the fight, Ali eased into a well-honed publicity routine.
Come on, gorilla, we in Manila.
Ali was one of those people who built himself up by tearing his opponents down psychologically. He was trying to establish his psychological domination over Joe Frazier.
How you feel, Joe? I mean, my left hook's in shape. I mean, I think I get this man. I mean, I'm pretty fast. I mean, yeah, this, maybe, you know what I mean? He's supposed to be from the same ancestor, unless he had some kind of different kind of thing going on in his family. And if I'm a gorilla, he got to be from the same ancestor. He must be a gorilla, too.
Back up, boy. Where you going?
Frazier grew to detest and despise his charismatic rival.
No, we walking off the show. It's not right to leave the show.
So how did the healthy competition between two great athletes, both black and both from the American South, turn so sour? Joe Frazier had to struggle for everything in life. He was the youngest of 12 children, born into a poor family in Beaufort County, South Carolina. He left home at 15, became a father at 16, and eventually settled in the boxing city of Philadelphia. By day, he worked in an abattoir, and by night, he followed a childhood dream to be the next Joe Louis. It took Frazier more than a year to find a deal with a syndicate called Cloverleigh, and then he began to power his way through the ranks. In his first 2 years, he won all 19 of his fights. His corner nicknamed him Smoking Joe, saying his gloves could make smoke. Then just when Frazier had world champion Ali within his sights, he was robbed of the chance to fight him.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Muhammad Ali has just refused to be inducted into the United States Armed Forces.
At the height of his powers, Ali was stripped of his heavyweight title and banned from boxing for 3.5 years for refusing the draft to Vietnam. As a recent convert to the black separatist group Nation of Islam, Ali said he wouldn't help America oppress another nation when its own black people lacked civil rights.
Muhammad had his own opinions, his own ideas, and he did what he felt was right. This was Muhammad. So I knew what he was doing was sincere and honest, and that's what I told people.
What might this do to your boxing career?
No comments on the boxing career, no comments on nothing. I just face the judge, and that's all I have to face is the judge.
Ali's stand cost him his livelihood, his passport, and almost earned him a prison sentence. His stance was seen as unpatriotic by many Americans.
Do you think there's anything wrong in someone like Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, in refusing induction?
Yes, sir, I certainly do.
Why?
Because he's no better than the rest of us.
Mr. Clay, when
Muhammad Ali, sir.
Mr. Clay
Muhammad Ali, sir.
Mr. Muhammad Ali, either
yes,
one.
Just Muhammad Ali.
When you appear
Ali felt persecuted by the American establishment.
You just can't take a man's title out of the ring. You gotta, that's never been done in history. And all tight moves have been made against me that's never been made before in history of boxing.
While Frazier didn't agree with Ali's religion or radical politics, he stood up for Ali's right to earn a living by boxing.
Joe was good to him. He gave Ali a little bit of money from time to time. He arranged for certain joint publicity stunts that kept Ali's name in public view and helped to make a few dollars more.
Most of all, Frazier wanted Ali back in the ring so that he could prove himself a true champion by beating him. The moment finally came at Madison Square Garden in New York in 1971. It was billed as the fight of the century, a unique clash between two unbeaten men. Having supported Ali's comeback, Frazier was surprised and hurt when Ali turned on him during the pre-fight publicity.
Number one, he's ugly. He has no rhythm, no footwork, no class. He cannot talk. And who told him he could sing? He had such a
command of publicity and ridicule. Nothing hurts worse than ridicule.
When I whoop you, the thing about it, see, you might don't be able to cross. I gotta you whoop you. You can't wait, man.
In the build-up to the fight, Ali started to portray Frazier as an Uncle Tom figure in the power struggle between black and white that was dividing America at the time.
He's the Uncle Tom. He's the other type Negro. He's not like me. There's two type slaves. Joe Frazier's worse than you to me. One day he might be like me, but as of now, he works for the enemy.
Calling Frazier an Uncle Tom was accusing him of being a white man's lackey.
He started making comments like, well, only white people and sheriffs are rooting for Joe Frazier. There came a point where who you were rooting for in that fight was really a litmus test for where you stood on the war, where you stood on civil rights. It was more than a fight.
The Ali campaign was so relentless that many black people turned on Frazier. He received death threats and his children were bullied at school.
Muhammad had gotten under his skin something brutal, and I could see the reaction be like that. He wanted to really destroy Muhammad.
Ali was calling him a white man. I mean, Joe Frazier, a white man? He was so black, it was like the inside of a coal mine. So Frazier was waiting to kill him.
On fight night, Ali underestimated Frazier's power, stamina, and desire to punish him for the insults.
And Clay beckons him back. Frazier really goes after him, and he's got him with a left hook. He's done it once too often. Clay's in trouble. Round 11. He's hurt. He nearly went down.
As the fight was in progress, Ali said, "You know you're in the ring with God." And Frazier said, "Well, if you're God," he says, "you're in the wrong place tonight."
Muhammad Ali trying to regain his title from the present champion, Joe Frazier. And who's to say at this point that he won't do it?
Moments later, Frazier achieved the unthinkable.
Oh, there it is! The left hook. Frazier's at last caught up with him.
He knocked Ali down for only the second time in his professional career. Frazier got the judge's decision, and he became the first man to defeat Muhammad Ali. He was truly heavyweight champion of the world.
The winner by unanimous decision, Joe Frazier.
But Ali didn't see it that way. He had placed such importance on winning that he was ungracious in defeat.